1,000 better
1,000
stories.
better
1,000 better stories.
1,000 better stories.
You're listening to 1,000 Better Stories, the Scottish Communities Climate Action Network's podcast sharing stories of community-led climate action in Scotland to help us all imagine the better and fairer future and transform what we think is possible. Hello, it's Kaska, your story weaver. Before we delve into today's story, I have some amazing news to share with you. We've just hit 10,000 downloads for our show. Thanks so much for all your love and support that made this possible. Please help others find their way to us by spreading the word and rating our show. You can also send a review to stories@scan.scot. Sadly, we also have not so good news. We've hit a bit of a hitch with our funding situation here at SCAN, which we hope is only temporary. We're determined to keep going, but may be quieter than usual over the next wee while. We'll still be publishing the podcasts as often as we can, but we have no capacity to produce new content. For now. In the meantime, if you have any audio stories of your own that you'd like to share through our channel, we would love to have you and help you build your audience. Just ping me on stories@scan.scot. You can also now donate a few pennies to contribute to podcast running costs through our new Ko-fi account. Go to ko-fi.com/1000 Better Stories Pod or find the link in the show notes. But now, let me introduce today's story, which is all about one community's journey to community ownership and how that empowered them to do more on climate, build resilience, and help people in need. 2024 marked the 5-year anniversary of the opening of Greener Kirckaldy's community building at 8 East Fergus Place in the centre of Kirkcaldy in Fife. This coincided with 100-year anniversary of the community land ownership movement in Scotland. To celebrate the occasion, Greener Kirckaldy held an open day in their building on the 8th of June. This episode uses a mixture of interviews and messages that were recorded on the day. It also includes interviews with Chief Executive Lauren Brooke, Treasurer Ian Stryton, and Community Food Volunteer Leslie May. The story was created by Lewis Harrower, making him the newest addition to our 100 Better Stories collective. I made a tiny contribution of interview recordings from the open day.
I think people need to see what's going on. People are excited by what's behind the doors of the big white building on East Fergus Place, and they want to come and see it. But having open days is really important to connecting with the community. We'd like to do more, but I also just think having open days and events that the community can come to, you want them to feel like they've got ownership of the building and that they've got ownership of Greener Kirckaldy. You know, like I say, we're community led, and it gives people an opportunity to get involved in different ways, find out about new activities, to find out about volunteering, and to feel like they're contributing to Greener Kirckaldy. So my name is Lauren Brooke, and I'm the Chief Executive of Greener Kirckaldy. So I first heard about Greener Kirckaldy when I moved here, and I was looking for local volunteering opportunities. I wanted to meet some new people, and I wanted to get experience in the environmental sector, because that's what I'd done at university. I started as a media volunteer, writing blogs for the website, and then I was lucky to get a job with the organisation as a development worker in 2015. I think the main change at Greener Kirckaldy was probably its size. You know, we moved from a small office and shop on the high street, just giving energy advice, and a community garden, and now we've got this huge community building and a training kitchen and a bike shop. And we've expanded our reach. You know, we've got projects that are Fife-wide, like Climate Action Fife and Cosy Kingdom. And just generally, I think our position in the community and reputation has increased. You know, we've become quite a major group in the Kirkcaldy area and supporting other groups. We started on our journey towards community ownership in 2013. There was a lot of interest in food work and growing work locally, and we wanted to build on that and use that to improve the well-being and sustainability of the community. We carried out a community consultation and found high levels of support for food activities in Kirkcaldy and a desire for a town centre location for this. So we basically wanted to create this new community food hub. for Kirkcaldy that would be a place for people to grow, cook, eat and learn together.
Well, thank you. We've only just opened, really. It's good. It's good fun. So hopefully we'll get some nice messages on it. Well, give it a try. So you pick up the phone. There's a short message and then a beep, and then after the beep you record a message.
Lift the phone, leave a message after the tone, and then hang up.
I came to Greener Kirckaldy today to find out more about what they do, and I learned something about gardening and I learned something about cooking. It was all very interesting. Thank you very much.
My name is Ian Sturton. I'm a board member at Greener Kirckaldy and also the treasurer. I first heard about Greener Kirckaldy through my wife, who was a trustee with another green organisation, a community garden organisation through in Edinburgh. I helped out with some of the finance work at the time. She conned me into joining the board. As a part of the progress, we looked at the Scottish Land Fund, and we had to jump through certain hoops for that. One, we had to prove that it was a requirement in Kirkcaldy. And the way we did that is we chatted with the Fife Council about the local development plan, the local area community plan, I should say. That was okay because we actually then managed to persuade them to put the need for a food hub in the local plan. So when we went back to the Scottish Land Fund, my proposal, we already had a need identified through the planning consultation and our own consultation. So we got a first response back saying they would be interested in helping us.
We purchased the building in 2017 with a grant from the Scottish Land Fund, which is a Scottish Government initiative which gives funding and support to help communities take ownership of land and buildings to benefit local people. And it was previously the library headquarters for Kirkcaldy. It was a really big deal when we got the money to purchase the building. I think a lot of community buyouts are associated with islands or remote parts of Scotland, and people think that's all that they are, whereas we were one of the first groups in an urban area to actually receive funding from the Scottish Land Fund and purchase the building. We then got funding from the National Lottery Community Fund to transform the building, which was quite an extensive procedure, having it been the Fife Council Library headquarters for such a long time. So we got a lot of local tradespeople and stakeholders and volunteers to come up with the concept of the building.
I'm Louise Oliver, and I'm Climate Action Fife's Climate Friendly Businesses Outreach Coordinator. So I work in the whole of Fife. I'm based here at Greener Kirckaldy, but I work with businesses and community groups all over. So they're huge, the changes. As you'll be able to see, we've got lots of pictures up on the wall, because this used to be 5 years ago, it was just a shell of a building. And so we've put in lots of room dividers. There's been lots of changes, but to begin with, we did fit and forget technology. So that was funded by the lottery to buy the property and refurbish. And first of all, what you need to do is always make sure that you're keeping the heat in. So before you make any other changes, you need to have good insulation. So we insulated our loft, and we did north face wall insulation and repaired and patched the flat roof and insulated that, because 25% of heat loss comes from a roof. So that was what we needed to do straight away. We changed all the lighting to LED lights, and there's a quick payback for that. It's normally between 6 to 12 months. And we did some energy saving adaptations to our water, so there's motion sensors, and so it cuts out after a certain time, so the water won't keep running. In the kitchen, we installed a hot water tank because it previously ran off gas, and the gas one would have taken too long to heat for the kitchen use. We updated the TRVs on our radiators because they were temperamental, and we also, following recommendations, got energy efficient appliances.
And then we moved here in March 2019 and opened to the public in April 2019.
The biggest benefit of owning a building from the charity's point of view is it gives us stability. We have some place, we know where we are. We're not reliant upon landlords not doing repairs. We're our masters of our own destiny in that sense. For the community, it gives them a focal point. I'm still surprised if folk walk past here and don't know what we do. Our first open day, I was standing outside along with our board members, encouraging passers-by to come in. despite the fact there's a big notice board and a big sign, folk still walk past it. There was a worry that when we moved off the high street, folk would think we just disappeared. And in fact, we didn't disappear, we just got bigger. So as long as we can continue to raise funds to keep the doors open, we'll keep it open.
The whole building centred around the community kitchen. That was the reason we wanted to open this building, was to have this community. We called it the Community Food Hub a long time ago. It's now the Langspoon Community Training Kitchen. But yeah, we wanted a place that the community could come and learn how to cook, learn cooking skills, but also come together to eat and to do community meals and things like that. So yeah, the whole refurbishment, the kitchen was the main point. You can see all the offices and things are just stuck around the edges. It's the centre of the building.
So I'm Kat and I'm a sessional worker. So the main job that I do is preparing the community meal on a Wednesday. So on a Wednesday we get a lot of food donated that would otherwise go to landfill, and it's a bit like a kind of ready, steady cook on a big scale. So you get a selection of items, you don't necessarily know what's coming beforehand, and you have to come up with a menu, and then we produce a meal for normally around about 40 or 50 people. The meal is open to anyone, so anyone could come along and have a 3-course meal and get to meet other people. And we also provide volunteering opportunities through that as well. So there's about 10 or so volunteers that help us to produce the meal and serve it and clear our way. I think meeting lots of different people through the volunteers is really good fun. And we get a lot of good feedback from people who come to the meal. And there's been quite a few people who've actually met other people. We tend to find recently, particularly, has been people who maybe just moved to Kirkcaldy and they're coming along to meet local people or people who are in the same situation as them. So today, it's 5 years since we opened Greener Kirckaldy in this particular building. So we decided to throw the doors open and do a bit of an explanation to people as to what we're doing here. So we have various different food offerings available. And then also in the event space, we've got energy advice, and there's the Langtoon cycles. So people can come find out a bit more about what the organisation does. So specifically, I think my role is more in the food team, but definitely I've run quite a few cooking classes, and sometimes we have people who maybe have been referred by social work. And one particular example is a lady who had come to a series of classes that I was running, so it was 6 weeks that she was coming to me. And at first she was very nervous, didn't really want to come, was very apprehensive. And by the final week, she was actually suggesting a recipe she wanted to cook. And you could just see by her whole demeanour that, getting involved and meeting other people and feeling like she was improving her skills had really been good for her confidence. And she actually moved on to one of our other cooking programmes so that she could kind of develop her skills further.
Awesome. So not just making a difference for the climate, but actually personal
community as well. Exactly. Yes.
In terms of, because there's more and more talk about the climate change being here, like with flooding and heat waves and all that kind of stuff. So is there any thoughts you have about how this kind of space would have a role in adaptation to climate impacts?
I think my kind of passion, I suppose, is creating more active communities so that we're relying on connections with people made locally, rather than obviously relying on big organisations that are bringing in us the things that we need. It's more about learning to work together in your own space and producing the things you need and becoming interested in what's happening in your local community, which obviously reduces the need for kind of transport and travelling and all that kind of thing.
I'm Leslie Main, and I've been a volunteer at Greener Kirckaldy for probably the last 5 years. I first heard about it, I was aware that they had an office or a shop front down in the high street, but I didn't have much involvement there. But I saw an advert for the opening of the building here and thought I would come along. I was recently retired, looking for additional things that I could do within the community. So I came along, in particular because they were advertising cooking classes and needing support for that. And met with Jackie, and we kind of hit it off right away. And she suggested that I come and support some of the cooking classes. The Langspoon Kitchen is a great resource, something that Greener has really developed and fabulous for the community. The kitchen has 8 stations that people can use. One of them is an adjustable station so that we can support people who are perhaps disabled and can't reach the full height. Mixture of gas and electric cookers, loads of equipment. In particular, I love seeing the kids coming in and using that and learning how to cook and going home to their parents and telling their parents what they've made, giving them examples of it, and then being able to try these things at home. So it's a really great community facility. Because they were just in a small unit down at High Street before, they weren't able to do all the classes and meet with people to the extent that they can now. Without this building, I don't think they would be able to do a fraction of what they currently do. It's a resource where people can come in from the community. A lot of people are coming via perhaps social work, through health visitor, who may have other difficulties that they're dealing with. And when they come here, they're met with friendship, they meet each other, they can build lasting friendships, they can learn. So it's doing a lot in that respect as well. So without the building, we couldn't do that. It's been great in terms of bringing in people from the community as volunteers. Other benefits it's had for people in the community, I would say, is that there are classes offered in things to do with climate change. I myself have done a class in mental health first aid, other first aid classes in food hygiene, so that you can come here, you can do these classes, and then you have that skill to take back out into the community again, as well as obviously the cooking classes and all the other things that go on within Greener. And while I've not had much involvement with, but I know that Cosy Kingdom also runs from here, and they're going out into the community to advise people on how best to heat their house or how to perhaps put in measures to prevent heat loss and things like that, helping with curtains and insulation and so on. So it's a great thing for the community and does a lot. It has, for me, meant that I've been able to give back to the community. When I retired, I continued to do part-time work for a little while, but once that stopped, I felt I was fit and I was able, and I really wanted to do something that I could give back to the community, and it's been brilliant for that. So I hope to keep it as a sort of a permanent factor in my life too. Yeah.
My name is Ross Cunningham. I am the Ravenscraig Garden Volunteer Work Coordinator.
How long have you been with Greener Kirckaldy yourself?
About 4 or 5 years. I was a volunteer first, and then this here is our climate-friendly community garden. So it's been a project for the last 2 years, setting it up and getting it more productive.
Yeah, so can you describe what we're looking at here?
Well, raised beds. We've got garlic, we've got shallots, potatoes, some very nice garlic chives. It's all things that we hope will come in useful. Yeah, it's hopefully like a kitchen garden. We've got the polytunnel full of tomatoes. They're coming along very nicely. And then all along here we've got our herb garden, which is coming along very, very nicely. I could show you around the corner here. We were donated a bath, so we didn't know what to do with it. We were going to use it to make a pond, but we ended up using it as a raised bed instead.
Great, nice reuse. Oh, rhubarb!
Rhubarb, yes. We're really proud of this area because originally, as part of the building site, there is virtually no soil here. It's unbelievably poor soil, and it's all old slate and rocks and stuff. You can't get a fork into here. So this has been an experiment, and now you could just see the bees, the rhubarb's doing great, and if you just work your way along, there's just all sorts of stuff that is thriving on really, really poor soil. So yeah, we're very pleased with what we've achieved here. Yeah.
Can you think of the time when you saw an example of how having this building or this space made a real difference for people in Kirkcaldy, or for people's ability to come together and take climate action and make a difference?
Specific. I think we see every time we come here that these people are just, they get two things out of it. They learn about gardening, and they get company. They meet people and get conversation. quite a few people that are looking for the social side as much as the gardening side. The specifics of the climate awareness and that, I find that people tend to be aware anyway. They'll talk to me about what they feel is happening. I don't specifically preach to them about it. Would you like to look at the little parklet we've created?
A parklet, yes. I didn't realise there was a parklet as well.
There is. It's a parklet is an interesting word.
It is.
We don't know how small or big a parklet should be.
Yeah.
So this is our parklet, which again was just absolutely unused land. Really, really pure weeds, nothing else in it. And we've turned it into a colourful little oasis with its own pond.
Right.
So, yeah.
What else do we have here?
Well, we have an apple tree, we have 2 apple trees. We have raised beds for the veggies. We have peas, we've grown peas here. The rest of it is just like wildflower meadow mixes, anything. You actually buy like mixes of either bee-friendly, butterfly-friendly seeds, and I think we have a combination of that in here. Just again, we have our own bug hotel. We made this ourselves. Just lots of pallets and all the sort of stuff that in theory bugs can move into and enjoy.
On visiting the Greener Kirkcaldy community building today, I've been very well informed about many things. The company is lovely, very helpful staff and volunteers on duty. Lovely garden, learned some interesting facts and picked up some interesting leaflets. Love the murals on the wall, spent a long time reading them. Excellent place to visit.
Yeah, so the mural was actually a couple of years afterwards. We did it during COVID, 1 year afterwards. It was so the building. We opened the building in April 2019. As everyone knows, we went into pandemic about a year after that, and then partway through the pandemic in the winter, we got a call from the Scottish Land Fund, who were looking to do these case studies of projects who'd received funding and case studies around community ownership, and they had a fund called Urban Journeys, and what they were doing is they wanted to match up groups and organisations who'd done community buyouts with local artists and come up with a way of telling that story. We were over the moon. We really wanted to share the story of our journey, and we basically recruited 2 local artists to design a mural for the space. It was a good thing to do during the pandemic because they had full run of the building, but they basically interviewed lots of people who use the building, people who've attended our events and activities, members of Greener Kirckaldy, volunteers, partners, staff who obviously been involved for a very long time, and board members, and they interviewed them for their stories of how they got involved, what they think the benefits of Greener Kirckaldy are, and how Greener Kirckaldy helps the community, and specifically about the building and what the building means to them and how it's a big part of the community. And they created this fab mural that's downstairs that's got all these lovely quotes from different people who've been involved about what the building means to them, about what Greener Kirckaldy means to them. And it's fantastic. And then they did a digital version as well that's on the website, that you can click through and you can see more of the stories behind the quotes and the people and how they came up with it. But it's a lovely way of showing how the building fits in with the community.
My name's Ross. I'm a mental health peer worker with SAMH, which stands for the Scottish Action for Mental Health, and I work at a local project called SAMS that is based at Greener Kirkcaldy. Okay, so we were looking for a venue that was close to the town centre for transport links. We come across the Greener Kirkcaldy building online. We come down for a look. We really liked the space. It was big, welcoming. There's plenty of light and stuff in it. And we looked at how people would connect with SAMS, so wanted to keep it local, wanted to keep it central, and it just ticked all the boxes that we were looking for. The open day's been awesome. Lots of people in chatting about lots of different things. Obviously the passion for like the environment and power, climate, mental health, well-being, you know, and in essence being human and everything that sort of we've to consider in this modern world. I think what I notice when I'm here, when I'm working in the building, is like the very warm welcome that people from the community have when they come into the building. So I'm based just outside the entrance door, and you see people coming in to access the pantry bit that they've got here, and you know the staff at Greener Kirckaldy are always so welcoming, and they have a chat with people. So it's a real sense of, it's a sense of community more than anything. Yeah. And that's what I really like about the setup here.
My name's Diane Girvin and I'm the office manager, so I'm in charge of finance, human resources, facilities, and I've been here for nearly 11 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, sort of from pretty much near the beginning.
What about yourself? How do you feel about working for an organisation that's trying to make a difference?
I love
on
it.
Climate.
Yeah, I love it. And actually, I suppose I've always been aware of it, but maybe not sort of understood the implications of it maybe so much. Like I suppose before I probably would have thought, oh, I'm recycling, so that's enough. Whereas now I know that actually you need to reduce before you recycle. So I'm kind of understanding the hierarchy, if you like, more. I'm quite proud of being able to say that I work for Greener Kirckaldy. I think it's a great organisation. It's grown so much, and it's just getting the word out there about all the climate stuff, but not in a scary way. Actually, just being able to say, because I think some people think it's up here and it's far away and there's nothing that anybody can do. It needs to come from the government. Whereas I think working for an organisation like this, it shows you that actually it's an individual thing, and if we start doing small steps and actually it's people that make the changes that the government can then do, or the council and then the government can do. So I think it's got to be work from the bottom to the top rather than the other way around. I was actually having a discussion with Ross this morning about, climate change is here. So I think maybe it's not so much about how do we stop it, it's how do we live with it. I've seen journeys of people, I suppose, that maybe come in for some heating advice, for example, from the Cosy Kingdom team, and then they'll maybe go and do some work with the food team, they'll do some volunteering or maybe even a cookery course. So I've seen a lot of people that will come in for one thing but end up doing a whole load of different things. And I think that's, certainly I think with a building like this, it helps them to do that. So yeah, I've seen quite a few examples of that. As regards to this building, I would love to see, because at the moment we're still using gas boilers, so I would love to be able to say, yeah, we've got an air source heat pump and we're actually being more, actually walking the walk. So we've got solar panels, but I would like to see an air source heat and be a demonstration building, so people can come in and see how it works, how expensive it is or how cheap it is to actually run. I would like it to be a demonstration building for that.
We have a problem with this building is that it wasn't energy efficient when we first moved in. A lot of the money we got for the build we put into insulation in the walls. So we started off with panels on the roof, I think one battery. Then we had a second battery, then a third battery. And then we went back when we had the funding again to do the other half of the roof, to do the insulation. So we're left with a building that's well insulated. We've got solar panels, which I should add, part of the funding package, we had to leave on display. So you'll see the batteries in the main hall, and that was so that other organisations could come in and say, oh, you've got storage batteries. And that was a part of the funding agreement. We would actually be open to showing other people what we've done, what our savings were, and how we've managed to link it all together.
We also installed an electric vehicle charge point, so that runs off here too. And this is a listed building, and in the front door we couldn't change the external front door. And it's an open building. We need our participants to be able to come in when they need to come in. So what we did is, without requiring planning permission, a preferable solution for us was to create a heat exchange corridor. So we added an internal front door. So that was phase 2. And phase 3, which is when we're in now, 2023 onwards, is to decarbonise our building. So part of this is fitting thermal blinds in our upstairs office and our event space, and these will reduce energy loss further and improve both the rooms and buildings' energy efficiency. And this is a really big event space, and actually it's not warm enough for some of the participants that are in here for long periods of time. So we've just applied for funding to install infrared panels in our upstairs office and event space, and it will allow us to use additional heat in the rooms when required and support our transition to electric heatings. And the thing with infrared panels is they heat the person, not the room. The panels and blinds will all help us achieve the goal and help us reach our climate action plan's ambition of decarbonising our heating. And throughout that process, we worked with Heat Hacks, which is a great resource for community groups, and they help identify where your building is being used and at what times. So this is a new journey we're on for the future.
Do you mind saying your name?
It's Linda.
And why did you come today?
I saw that it was advertised and I've been trying to come and visit for a while. When the organisation started up all these years ago, there was newsletters and you joined up, and I did, but I've actually not been very active at all because by going to work and everything it takes up a lot of time. I've said I'll try and help at the community meal on a Wednesday.
Why do you think this kind of space is important for communities like Kirkcaldy, for people to come together and for climate action?
Well, very much making climate action at the forefront and making people more aware of that and what they can do easily at home.
My name is Jason Boyles. I've been running East Nuke Seaweed for 5 years. So my role here as a community chef is 3 days a week. As far as I'm concerned, there's 3 food types, and I try to include these in most of my meals every day, my personal meals. There's wild, there's local and seasonal, which is those 3 actually connect quite well, and then there's yellow sticker. And in these times of income insecurity, yellow sticker is nice because it helps the back pocket. You're also doing your part for reducing food waste. But the way that you make yellow stickered foods much more tasty and much healthier is by including those wild and those local and those seasonal ingredients. Now, when you add 3 together, that's when the magic happens, and so that's what I've really tried to showcase today. So all the meals that were put together today, they all have a story behind them. So a good part of our ingredients has all been donated or comes from Fair Share or some of the local supermarkets around here. Booker's is another one that we get food, for them it's food waste. So a lot of our stuff, most of our ingredients was donated, and then I've used wild, I've used local, I've used seasonal to just make it really zing, and put that goodness back into it as well.
Yeah, I'm Ruth Evans from Development Trust Association Scotland. I'm part of the Community Ownership Support Service team. We've got 3 teams. There's the Development Trust Association Scotland Development Officer team who help development trusts that are part of DTAS. So if you meet certain criteria, you can be part of a member of Development Trust Association Scotland. And we have development officers all through Scotland that support those, our members. Now, there's the Community Ownership Support Service team, which is the team I work in. So I assist community organisations that want to take on buildings, ownership of buildings, publicly owned buildings. So it's an overall support, as it says, community ownership support service. So that's what we do, whatever aspects a community would need in support of taking on that ownership of that building or field or community grown space. We can help them with that. Yes, I was actually involved with this building in my previous job, so I know the building quite well. Yeah, it's fabulous what they've done with it. I was at the original Greener Kirckaldy building up on the High Street a few years ago. So yeah, it is incredible what they do in the services they provide here at Greener Kirckaldy. Yeah, they've always been an exemplar, I would say. They're one of our members as well. They're a Development Trust Association member, and they've had lots of contact with Greener Kirckaldy over the years.
Do you think more buildings should be community owned like this one?
If it's the right thing for the community, yes, and that's why we're here really to support. It's Scottish Government funded, and again that's Scottish Government same as well as that for more communities to take over ownership where it's appropriate. If it's not appropriate, then the community shouldn't do it.
My name's Samantha McFarlane. I've been here about a month volunteering with Jackie. We teach how to cook on a budget. We show people how to cook. We had people from with ADHD. We have lots of different groups that we teach. It really does. It's just nice to give back to the community.
Oh, hello, my name's Ruth. I've come along to the open day today. I was invited by a lovely lady I met called Jill, who was very friendly and approachable. And I've come today and everyone's just so lovely, so friendly. I found out a lot of things. I'm very interested in the climate, obviously, and had a little chat about that.
I mean, this place is to do with bringing community together and bringing, stimulating people to take climate action as well. So do you think that's an important place to have in a community?
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of people are in denial of the climate, and my brother's a fine example. I try and educate him some of the things he buys, like to stop buying the plastic and the straws, even the aerosols, some of the aerosols he uses, but he's in denial. He said there's nothing wrong. Oh, it's all a load of, I won't tell you the exact words he uses, but he said, look at the sky, it's fine, I'm breathing, everything's growing, and you can't, some people are like that.
What kind of difference will it make for you to be involved in this group?
Well, I don't know everything, and I'm sure I'm doing things that, don't benefit the planet. So it'd be nice to know what else I can do, apart from what I'm doing already. And I put my name down to volunteer as well for the Wednesday food kitchen. So I'm very happy and I'm on my way home now. Thanks very much. Bye.
Over the past 5 years, our community building has allowed us to do so much and grow significantly. I mean, we've reached new audiences. It's really expanded our engagement and provided vital community support for people as well. And I think it's helped us foster a deeper connection between people, food and the environment. We always say that up until recently, climate change and climate emergency have been difficult things to engage people in, but food isn't. Everybody has a connection to food, and it's a really great way of engaging with people. It's also allowed us to develop significantly as an organisation. It's giving us opportunities to generate our own income. It's brought in new partnerships and groups for us to work with, and access to different funding streams. Our staff team and programme activities has expanded massively since we came into the building, and we've had to learn new skills to manage this as well. Last year we had over 7,000 people who came into the building for advice and support, so it's helped us reach new people and engage new audiences. I think Greener Kirkkaldy is very important to the local area. For Greener Kirkkaldy as a whole, more than 15,000 people took part in our activities last year. But I actually think that the most incredible thing about us as an organisation is actually just the range of different activities we do. And I think there's something for everyone. We've got community meals, we're teaching people to cook, we've got a social enterprise bike shop on the high street, we're helping people stay warm at home, we're leading climate action across the whole of Fife, and we're supporting other organisations to deliver similar activities in their communities. And I think that's one of the most important things we can do, is actually support newer groups and places to start doing these activities themselves. Yeah, I think we do a lot of things that make a real difference to people's lives. I think that the future for Greener Kirkkaldy and the community building lies in what the community want us to do next. Sounds like I'm just bypassing that, but we're community led. We consult the community, we talk to the community, we want to know what people want us to do. The community building came from ideas from the community. The bike shop came because people told us there wasn't a bike shop in Kirkcaldy. So that's what we're waiting for, people to tell us what next for Greener Kirkkaldy and Kirkcaldy town centre in general. For us, we want to make our building and our operations carbon neutral. We want to broaden and deepen our community engagement and get more diverse audiences involved and increase our inclusivity. We want to become more financially sustainable. We've got the social enterprise side of things, but the world of grant funding is changing, and we want to make our organisation more financially secure. But most importantly, we want to develop new ideas that meet the needs and aspirations of local people. Greener Kirkkaldy for me personally is all about the community. I first became involved in Greener Kirkkaldy because I wanted to take action climate change, and I wanted to do something environmental. As much as it's still a key value for me, it's the community that's kept me involved, both the staff and volunteers here who are really passionate and dedicated, but also there's the inspiring people and organisations that we work with across Kirkcaldy and across Fife. I've been here for just over 10 years and started as a volunteer, and watching Greener Kirckaldy grow has been absolutely amazing. I think it's a really inspiring charity, and the community is really inspiring as well. And I'm just constantly amazed and humbled by all the work that's done in Kirkcaldy, both in terms of community support and community development, but also in the environmental side of things and tackling the climate emergency.
I think this is a really good example of what could be done in other towns and things in Fife. I don't live in Kirkcaldy myself, and I think it's a really good example of how we could kind of replicate this model elsewhere. It seems to be really, really wanted by the community and supported by the community, and it kind of covers a lot of different aspects of life that I think are important, like, you know, health, well-being, exercise, climate change.
Greener Kirkcaldy is important to the local area in many ways. I mean, we'll go back to when I first got involved. If you looked at the back of your council tax notification, the council was telling you, if you want advice on energy, phone us. You know, it's a win-win situation. We've created jobs, we've created savings in the community. We've also been a focal point for folk who are, through the community meals, of folk who don't speak to anybody the rest of the week, come in here and have a chat with people and feel they've got a community to be respected in. The future for Greener Kirckaldy, it's like all other organisations. Unfortunately, we're probably going into a time of cutbacks, and in time of the cutbacks is when folk most need help, but it's also the time when funding might be cut, and that's something we're very, very aware of as a board. It's one of the high-risk things on our agenda, is that, you know, if there is cutbacks, how does it affect how we deliver services, what we do? Hopefully Greener Kirckaldy will be here a while, but probably the biggest ambition is we're not required anymore. But I just don't see that happening anytime soon.
At the moment, the community building is used a lot. For the future, I would just like to see it continue and just expand the classes and the variety of people that are coming in. I think it's doing a good job at the moment, and just continue, carry on the way it's going. So I hope that people in positions of authority can look at what is done here and take that on board and prioritise it. Yeah.
To my knowledge, they always sort of take on board people's views, so really just continue to engage with their community and seeing what the community wants and how they can facilitate it through their projects and their building, and, you know, the people that they employ, and just continue to thrive, really.
We're really grateful to the Scottish Land Fund and to the National Lottery who allowed us to purchase this building and refurbish it, and also the networks we're part of. You know, the Development Trust Association Scotland, DTAS, were a massive support for us in terms of purchasing this building, negotiating with who we purchased the building from, and advising us on what to do. And I think any community groups who might be thinking about it, they can visit us and see what's going on here and find out about how we approached it, but also to really make use of the networks and the support available, because there's people that really want to see community buyouts and community ownership across Scotland, and that have got a lot of advice for it, and that there is funds available, and also just that, really take the drive from the community, because you have to have the community buy-in for it to work. You know, once you've got a community building, it's quite a big uptake and a responsibility, and you've really got to have the community interested afterwards and the buy-in. And, you know, a big thank you to our community. Our community are very engaged, from the staff, who are very passionate and committed and dedicated and full of ideas of how to progress Greener Kirckaldy, and really love supporting the community, and you can see that. And the volunteers, I mentioned, we've got about 130 active volunteers, and they're all dedicated members of the community and really inspiring people. And we've got a very good board who are very active and supportive too. And just the general community, like I said, I'm constantly amazed and inspired by Kirkcaldy and Fife and the action that goes on. I think it's a brilliant community and brilliant community sector to be part of.
What I would say, if anybody's at a loose end and they don't know what we do, come in, talk to someone in the building, and come and volunteer, get involved.
I really loved being able to share this story, as I've been watching Greener Kirkcaldy's progress over my back fence here in Fife for around 10 years now, and they've always inspired me as an example of the growing power of grassroots action, making a real difference on climate and beyond. For more on Fergus Play's story, check out the Urban Journeys digital mural link in the episode notes. You may also want to have a look at similar stories from elsewhere in Scotland, which are emerging from the 100 Years of Community Ownership project by Community Land Scotland. You can even contribute your own community story through their online archive. Please don't forget to spread the word to help others find their way to 1,000 Better Stories. We'd also be delighted to hear what you think of the show. You can email your reviews and ideas for what we should do next to stories@scan.scot. And if you can afford a few pennies, please do pop over to our Ko-fi account and donate. It's ko-fi.com/1000 Better Stories Pod. Link is in the show notes. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like and share it with others. It'll really help us reach a wider audience. If something exciting is happening in your own community, be sure to let us know so that we can help you tell your own story. You can drop our story weavers a line at stories@scan.scot. It's scan, SCCAN, .scot, SCOT. We also offer training and mini grant support to community storytellers. To keep up to date with our offerings and everything Scan, check out our website at scan.scot or find us on Twitter, Facebook or Instagram, or simply sign up to the newsletter.